Okay, let's see here. So I haven't done an eyesight with for a while. We have the presidential election coming up. I think they've updated this since the last time I've looked at it. So let's do one. You can get a bit of insight into what my actual positions are. What is your stance on abortion? Let's just see what they have. Pro-choice, pro-life, ban after first trimester, pro-life but allow in fairly reasonable exceptions. Pro-life, I don't agree um, with it, but it's not my government's ability to ban abortion. Pro-choice, but provide birth control, sex education, social services to reduce number of abortions. Pro-life, and I also oppose abortion for victims of rape and incest. I'm just gonna say pro-life. Um, I'm okay with abortion if it's in the rare case that it could kill the mother, because the mother is more important than the baby because she has a husband and she has other real world people who depend upon her. Do you support the legalization of same sex marriage? No, marriage should be defined between a man and a woman. Exactly. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? Let's see here. No, the government should not give funds to any organizations that perform abortions. I agree. Excuse me. Should a business based on religious beliefs be able to deny service to a customer? Let's see here. Yes, any business should be able to deny service for any reason. It's your fucking business. Unless it's like a water or an electric or a heating company. I mean, because those are like basics of life. In general, though, in practice, we'll just say any business can. I mean, you have to have some limits on it. Like if a pharmacy won't sell drugs, won't sell like HIV drugs to a gay guy. I kind of have an issue with that, but in general, when it's like the wedding cake, it's just like fuck off. Should the government require health insurance companies to provide free birth control? Um, no, let the insurance companies decide instead of a government mandate. That seems reasonable to me. Thing is, most birth control is really cheap. Condoms aren't that expensive. Birth control pills aren't that expensive. Um, I don't really understand why insurance companies are even providing stuff like that. A lot of them don't even cover drugs, so they won't cover some like new cancer drug that you need to survive. But they will cover fucking condoms, which you can get for free. Should the U.S. remove references to God from its currency, federal buildings, etc.? No, religion is an important part of America's heritage. Okay. Yes, it creates a bias against religions that do not believe in God. That's an interesting way of putting it. I guess there's some that are kind of agnostic on God. I guess unless we're talking about like Samyak or some Hindu philosophies, though, most of them are not like actively disbelieve in God. Should the government allow the death penalty? Yes, but only in certain circumstances in which a heinous crime has been committed and there is irrefutable evidence. Yeah, that's kind of my position. I don't see what's wrong with having the death penalty. I know a lot of people in my church disagree, but that was just kind of something they made up with. Traditionally, the papal states had the death penalty. I mean, if someone fucking rapes a little girl and like cuts up her
Your
body,
granddad, he
sorry about that. It's just a YouTube video of millennial woes started in the background. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted suicide? No, but they should be able to refuse artificial life support. I don't support euthanasia. I think it's a slippery slope. Already in a lot of European countries, we're starting to see people applying for euthanasia for like depression and mental illness, non-terminal illnesses. We're seeing people. We're seeing. I think it was in Belgium where they were trying to bring in involuntary euthanasia for minors, or even voluntary euthanasia for minors. You can't vote, but you can get someone to fucking kill you. Um, but no, I mean, there's no reason why people should have to have life support. If you're dying, we don't have to keep someone alive indefinitely. Should companies be required to include women on their board of directors? If anything, I don't think women should be on the board of directors. Um, no, the government should not require any diversity of private businesses. I just don't think women are naturally suited for leadership. In traditional societies, women have immense authority within the home and over their husbands. Within the context of the home, the outside world, though, is the domain of males, by and large. Should the military allow women to serve in combat roles? No. It's bad for so many reasons. I don't even want to get into them now. It's a fucking horrendous idea. If they were gonna do it, I guess they could have all female units. But even then, it's still just not a good idea. Should the federal government allow states to fly the Confederate flag? I think that they should make them fly the Confederate flag. I think they should like force them to fly it. Should the government increase environmental regulations to prevent global warming? Um, no. Provide incentives for alternative energy instead. Um, I don't think reducing, even if global warming, anthropomorphic global warming is real, I don't think like restricting people's usage is gonna do anything. I think long term the only way to solve it is to come up with clean, renewable sources of energy. It has other benefits. You can be energy independent. Um, Even CO2, shutting down like coal plants, burning less gas. That helps with things like asthma and allergies. There's any number of reasons to want to get rid of uh, gas guzzling cars. Um, so I just support alternative energy in general. I think a lot of it is just kind of bullshit. I'm a nuclear fan myself. Should the national parks continue to be preserved and protected by the federal government? Um, yes, but allow limited logging, drilling, and mining. I don't see there's any reason why they can't allow it, so long as it's not like destroying the natural beauty. Um, if they mine in kind of a non-intrusive way, I think that's okay. It doesn't really bother me. I'm a big fan of protecting land. I think a lot of land should be protected. I don't really see how you can be a conservative or right wing and not support a lot of environmental regulation. Because at its core, it's something handed down to us by our ancestors, and it's something we will leave to our children. Blood and soil. Should the United States require labeling of genetically engineered foods? Um, let's see here. I actually, hmm, I actually don't think producers should be able to patent genetically modified foods. I've come around on this. I used to just think people who were against it were just full of shit. But when I went to Europe and I saw what like how much less fat people are there, when they have all these restrictions on food. I know there's a bunch of other things. There's cultural differences. There's alcohol. There's wine consumption. There's exercise. Even so, I think there's something to it. Um, and I think patenting food is bullshit. Do you support the use of hydraulic fracking to extract oil and natural gas resources? Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with it. Seems fine. Should the federal government continue to give tax credit subsidies to the wind power energy? Let's see here. No, end all energy sector subsidies. Libertarian answer. No, the government should leave the energy sector alone. Let's see here. Um, I'm gonna add one. Um, subsidize. Forgive my horrible spelling. Nuclear power instead. Okay, that's my answer. Should the U.S. expand offshore drilling? Let's see here. Yeah, I think we should. It's not something I'm not. I don't not that noticeable about. Should able-bodied, mentally capable adults who receive welfare be required to work? Yes, and eliminate welfare altogether since it's not authorized in the Constitution. Um, okay, I think this one looks fair. No, but in order to receive benefits, they should be looking for a job or enrolled in education job training program. That seems perfectly fair to me. Because sometimes, like, people are actively searching. Sometimes people will spend, like, 8 hours a day looking for work, or otherwise in job training program or in school, trying to improve themselves, trying to get better at like trying to get that job, and sometimes they just can't, and it's bad economic circumstances. They might not have enough money to move. So I think as long as people are trying, I think that's okay. The issue is more people who become professional NEETs, as I call them, than people who are just kind of going through a bad patch or having trouble getting their lives started. Should employers be required to pay men and women who perform the same work the same salary? Well, that doesn't include like I love how they. Well, what about education? What about experience? No, that doesn't matter. Okay, no, there are too many other variables such as education, experience, and tenure to determine a fair salary. That seems fine to me. I don't really get what's so bad about that. Should all welfare recipients be tested for drugs? Um, yes, test anyone receiving money from the government, including employees and politicians. I think if all politicians were tested for drugs, that would solve a lot of problems. Should the government raise the federal minimum wage? I actually do think they should. I think it's too low at the moment. $15 an hour is crazy. Excuse me. I think maybe $10 would be not bad. Um, there's a lot of I'm kind of sympathetic just because I've worked a lot of shitty minimum wage jobs, and they don't really pay you enough for the crappy work you have to do. There's also the issue that a lot of people depend upon the minimum wage to get through school. And if I think we should be encouraging people to work their way through school rather than take out massive unpayable loans. And just the minimum wage level according to inflation every year, that seems pretty fair to me. Should companies be required to provide employees with paid leave for the birth of a sick child or family member? Um, hmm. I think the federal government should sponsor this program instead of business. I think it should just be part of EI. Come from the same pool. Should the government make cuts to public spending in order to reduce the national debt? Um, yes. I also think the military should be cut, to be honest. Should the U.S. reduce corporate tax rates? Switch to a flat tax with no deductions. Eliminate loopholes and require corporations to pay a minimum tax. That seems pretty fair to me. I don't know. I don't know what a fair tax rate is. Like 10%, but no deductions. I don't know. I'm generally in favor because I hate effective tax rates. I hate when like the real tax rate has nothing to do with the on the books tax rate. It's just really fucking confusing. And it just creates unnecessary bureaucracy. So I would prefer just to have much lower tax rates, but like virtually no deductions. Should Wall Street executives be criminally charged for their roles in the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis? Yes, they should be jailed. Do you believe labor unions help or hurt the economy? I'm actually very pro workers' rights. I just don't like unions. Because I think unions hurt. Um, I think unions hurt their workers because they take their money and they use it to support dildo stuff. Um, hurt. I'm torn between this, but ban their ability to make public donations, political donations. Hurt. I support some private unions, but I'm strong against public sector labor unions. I'm gonna go with the slightly less bad one. I really dislike unions, but I think if you remove their ability to make political donations, it would dramatically improve them. Should the government increase the tax rate on profits earned from the sale of stocks, bonds, and real estate? Um, yes, increase the average U.S. tax rate. No, I don't think they should increase it. Should the federal government subsidize U.S. farmers? As long as it's a temporary measure to stabilize prices. I think food independence is important. I'm fine subsidizing farms, so long as it's not breaking the bank. I think not being reliant on other countries for food imports is important. Would you favor an increased sales tax in order to reduce property taxes? Um, I'm against property taxes. I don't think you should pay them. Um, I think if you own a piece of property, you shouldn't have to pay tax on it. You don't own it, you're renting it then. I think the proposal I came up with was the creation of, I forget how many tax brackets it was. I think it was like three tax brackets. I think I said that it should be um 10% for income under 20,000, 20% for income above 20,000, and 30% for income above 100,000. And that seemed pretty fair to, or no, income above like 150,000, and that seemed pretty fair to me. But that would be all taxes combined. Should pension plans for federal, state, and local government be transitioned into pension plans? Um, it's tricky. Um, I think you could probably privatize it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Should the government recognize Bitcoin as a legal currency? Um, no, I don't think it's I don't think it has intrinsic value. Bitcoin scares the shit out of me. Um, do you support the Trans-Pacific Partnership? No. Should the Federal Reserve Bank be audited by Congress? Um, yes. I think it should be audited. I don't know about the gold standard. It's kind of larpy. Let's see here. Should purchasing a gun be required to pass a criminal and public safety background check? I don't see what's so bad about that. Okay, that seems fair. Like I don't see what the issue is. To be perfectly honest, if the person's like a violent psychopath, hopefully that will come up. Like I don't mean like make them wait. Just have a database. If the person's buying a gun, just run their name against the database. If it turns out they're like a mass shooter or something, they shouldn't. They've lost the right to have a gun, at least until they get a pardon or get their criminal record purged. Or if they're like like a schizophrenic, then they shouldn't have access to a gun. I'm sorry. Do you support increased gun controls? Um, no, only for individuals with mental health and convicted felons. That seems pretty fair to me. Um, in other words, I generally support gun rights, but I don't see an issue with having some common sense stuff. Should people on the no-fly list be banned from purchasing guns and ammunition? Um, yes, but not until the no-fly list is improved, because the new no-fly list is bullshit. Should there be term limits set for members of Congress? I actually don't care. I don't think it matters. You in favor of decriminalizing drug use? Um, that's an interesting question, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I think people go to jail too much for drugs. Should NSA be able to collect metadata? No, only with a warrant. Should internet service providers be allowed to prioritize traffic from websites that pay higher rates than their competitors? No. Should the government raise the retirement age of Social Security? Yes. People are living longer. 65 is too young. Should corporations and unions be permitted to fund advertisements backing political candidates? Um, no, they shouldn't be able to. Do you support affirmative action? No. And prohibit them. That sounds good to me. Do you support the Patriot Act? No. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearms dealers and manufacturers? No. Um, that's literally like the craziest shit I've ever heard. That's like holding knife manufacturers responsible. Or if someone hits someone with like a fire extinguisher. Should the redrawing of congressional districts be controlled by an independent, nonpartisan um, commission? No, gerrymandering allows officials to more effectively represent their interests of their constituency. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Should the government be allowed to seize private property? Um, yes, but only for public projects. That seems okay. Do you support Obamacare? No. Um, let's see here. I think that's probably good. I actually personally, I don't know. I actually support single payer. I'm sorry, guys. I actually support multi-payer, single provider. No, multi-payer, multi-provider, but that's not an option. Should the federal government require children to be vaccinated for preventable diseases? Yes. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? Um, No, but it doesn't matter to me. I think it should be decriminalized. Should a photo ID be required to vote? Yes. I don't understand why this is so controversial. Should federal prisons ban the use of solitary confinement for juveniles? Um, yeah, I agree. I don't think they should be solitarily confined. Should the U.S. accept um, refugees from Syria? Um, only Christian refugees. That's my view of it. Should foreign terrorist suspects be given constitutional rights? No. Fucking torture those assholes. Should the government decrease military spending? Yes. I think it's too high. Foreign policy questions. Should the U.S. formally declare war on ISIS? Um, yeah, I think we should. Should every provide at least 1 year of military service? Um, yes, but only for those who are trying to build a criminal record. That seems fair to me. Should the U.S. No, remove the UN headquarters from the U.S. That sounds good. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? Oy vey. Um, let's see here. I actually don't really care. We should be less involved. I don't think it's really our job to be involved with it. Israel can defend themselves. Should U.S. send ground troops in Syria to fight ISIS? Um, yes, I do actually think we should probably send in ground troops to just. I'm just in favor of fucking killing ISIS. They're like the worst human beings who have ever lived. I just want to kill members of ISIS. I'm sorry. To gain intelligence and kill suspected terrorists. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't really care. Fucking kill those bastards. Do you support President Obama's recent move to lift trade and travel embargo on Cuba? Yes. Should the U.S. prevent Russia from conducting airstrikes in Syria? No. We should let the Russians take out ISIS. That seems good. Yes, and declare war on Russia. Enough people think that for that to be an option. Should the U.S. continue the NSA surveillance of its allies? No. Should the U.S. conduct long-range military strikes on North Korea? Um, I don't really see a reason to start a war. North Korea will eventually collapse. Should America increase or decrease military spending? Um, I actually don't care. Um, I think I'm okay with it. It's not that big a deal. Should the U.S. help overthrow Assad? No, this would allow ISIS to control Syria. Would you support increasing taxes on the rich in order to reduce the interest rate on student loans? I don't, that doesn't make any fucking sense. So I don't understand the connection between taxes on the rich and student loans. Do you support the adoption of Common Core national educational standards? Um, no. Education should be handled at the state and local level. That sounds good to me. Should illegal immigrants be given access to government subsidized health care? No, and deport illegal immigrants. Should Muslims be banned from entering the country? Let's see. Is there one? Um. Uh, okay, I'm gonna go with ban all Islamic immigration. Is going to be my stance on this issue. Do you support stronger measures to increase our border security? Yes. Matters a lot. No. Why would illegal immigrants? No, illegal immigrants should be deported. Why would they be getting subsidies? So, someone from another state who's a citizen doesn't get the subsidy, but illegal immigrants do. Should immigrants to the U.S. be required to learn English? Yeah. Why the fuck wouldn't they? Uh, yes, they remove multilingual translations. That sounds like a good idea. Should the children of illegal immigrants be granted citizenship? No. All illegal immigrants should be deported. Should law enforcement be allowed to detain illegal immigrants for minor crimes? Yes, all illegal immigrants should be deported. Should illegal immigrants working in the U.S. be granted temporary amnesty? No. Fine companies that employ illegal immigrants. Should the U.S. increase or decrease the amount of temporary work permits? Um, Decrease in the government should provide more incentives to prepare our citizens for these jobs. That sounds good to me. Stance on science issues. Drastically increase NASA's budget. I love NASA. I'm a big fan of NASA. I think they've done amazing stuff with the amount of money they have. So let's see who they're going to pair me up with. Will I stump the Trump? Will I ruse the Cruz? Will I lay low the Rubio? I don't know. We'll see soon enough. Okay, I side with Ted Cruz the most. I'm just going to take a picture of this. On social, immigration, social issues, electoral, and healthcare issues. On immigration, education, social, and electoral issues. So I side most with Cruz, then Donald, then okay, that's pretty interesting actually. Bernie Sanders. Yeah, Bernie's a lot higher than Hillary. Let's see who do I side the least with. Jill Stein. Yeah, Jill Stein. No wonder. Science. I suppose. Okay. On most science issues. Let's see. What did the candidates say on science issues? Should the government fund space travel? Donald Trump says no, but most people say yes. Okay. Domestic policy. Crime. Education. Immigration. Okay, so that's interesting. So Cruz seems to have the harshest view of it. Well, that's interesting. So I'm pretty close to the Cruz, and I'm pretty close to the Trump. So I think that was pretty fun. I'll post a link so you can do it. This is Argent signing out.